Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Pangaea Today. Now, before we get started, I should say this is probably going to be quite a little bit longer than the last video we did. We have quite a lot to cover. It's quite a detailed subject. From my perspective, as a layman coming into paleontology, no official background, and only doing this through a pure passion for the subject, this has required quite a lot of research and quite a lot of stuff that I simply didn't understand at first glance. So hope you'll bear with me. Let me know in the comments if you have any comments, basically, and let's get started. So today we're going to talk about a recent article in National Geographic and then sort of replicated all over the internet, describing an Argentinian titanosaur called Patagotitan mayorum. Patagotitan means a giant from Patagonia, essentially, and mayorum is a tribute to the family that supported the paleontologists as they worked to dig up the fossil. Though this dinosaur was first found by a farmer years ago and even announced to the world in 2014, it is only this August that it has been named and the full scientific article on the creature has been released. Now, I will link that down below, but it isn't general public access. I have not been able to access the entire thing. I've had to glean information from other sources. So, is this new discovery the largest animal to ever walk the earth? Before we even get started on this, I do want to credit a lot of the research in the video, a lot of the numbers that I'm going to use, to a man called Matthew Wedel. I've probably butchered his last name, a paleontologist who sort of refused to get caught up in the media hype and really looked at the numbers that were getting shown about this new sauropod. I'm going to link his website down below. He seems to focus purely on sauropods as well. Anyways, let's quickly go over what a titanosaur actually is, because this new dinosaur is a new titanosaur. What is a titanosaur? What does that mean? Well, a titanosaur is a clade of sauropod, essentially a subgroup, and they're well known for their massive size and weight. Creatures such as Dreadnoughtus, Puertosaurus, and Argentinosaurus, the latter two we're going to talk a lot about, are all titanosaurs, and several of them have been contenders for largest ever dinosaur. Longest, heaviest, and so forth. They can be differentiated from other sauropods like Brachiosaurus by a few different factors, such as small elongated heads, even small by sauropod levels. You know, sauropods always have small heads. These are even smaller. A wide chest area, yet a slim hip area, and very flexible spines, amongst others. So this new titanosaur, Patagotitan, is being hailed by pretty much all media sources on the planet as the largest dinosaur we've ever seen, at 37 meters long and a pretty staggering 69 tons in weight. But are they correct? Let's find out. Before we do fully dive into it, it's worth noting that two of the other true contenders for biggest dinosaurs, such as Argentinosaurus and Puertosaurus, are only estimated in size by pretty fragmented bone remains. A lot of the sizes are estimates. Getting an accurate feel for the total mass of a dinosaur by bone fragments, or even the surprisingly complete skeleton that we do have for Patagotitan, is not a wholly accurate science by any stretch, and all numbers are fundamentally estimates with a decent margin for error. That said, there are a number of bones by which we can compare the size of these creatures, including some particularly important ones. It's important to look at how the researchers came to the conclusion that this new titanosaur was truly a record breaker, and it's gonna get a little complex here, so do try to bear with me. I'll try to take it slow. The first is the neural spine. This is taller in Patagotitan than it is in either of the aforementioned contenders. The neural spine is basically the spine that runs along the neural arch, and the neural arch is essentially the back end of your vertebrae. If you picture a vertebrae, I'm going to bring up a picture for you guys now anyway, but imagine your vertebrae, your spine. The Patagotitan also has wider transverse processes than the Argentinosaurus, although it's worth noting it doesn't have ones as wide as the Puertosaurus. The transverse process is another aspect of your vertebrae, essentially the sticky out bits. These exist to connect muscle and tissue together, and they link in with the ribs around the rib cage. Again, I'll use the picture so you guys should have an idea what I'm talking about. By those two factors, Patagotitan would indeed be larger than Argentinosaurus, and there are several other listed and knocking around as well. But if we look at some other measurements, and again I must thank Matthew Wedel here, would not have been able to do this without his work, it begins to look slightly less impressive. The centrum of the vertebrae, which is essentially the main body of the vertebrae, is larger in both of the other titanosaurs at 60 centimeters compared to the 59 centimeters of the Patagotitan. Though a small difference, admittedly, a teeny tiny bloody difference. This is the primary load-bearing region of the vertebrae. This is the area that would potentially be responsible for holding the most mass, and therefore it is a better measure for that mass than either of the factors in which Patagotitan was larger. There are several dinosaurs with very, very extreme transverse processes sticking out from their spinal cord, and it gives them a weird shape, or they've got weird jutting bits coming from their back, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's supporting a massive amount of weight. Furthermore, the femur of Argentinosaurus, at an estimated 118 centimeters in diameter and 2.5 meters long, is still bigger than the current figures of 110 centimeters in diameter and 2.38 meters in length listed for the Patagotitan. Now, as mentioned, a lot of this is based on bone fragments. The Argentinosaurus femur, for example, is not a complete specimen, but by a number of different factors, it doesn't seem like the Patagotitan is demonstrably bigger than Argentinosaurus or any other titanosaur. In reality, all of these titanosaurs are incredibly close in size, and it's probably more the media's desire for a story that is leading to all these big proclamations of, oh my god, it's the biggest dinosaur ever. Because, you know, we love stories about new massive dinosaurs. That's why you guys clicked on this bloody video in the first place. It's also worth noting when we're talking about this that these dinosaurs, these examples of dinosaurs, aren't necessarily the biggest of their species. You know, for all we know, in a few years' time, we could dig up an even bigger Patagotitan. It's very possible that we have found already the largest dinosaur that has ever lived. It could be any of them. It really could. But maybe we just haven't found the biggest of their species quite yet. And that's something, in theory, that we will never ever know. All we can do is update to what is the current biggest. And that's about it, folks. Before we go, I would like to address some of the more exciting facets of this discovery that the media has kind of glossed over. Not only is this the most complete huge sauropod ever discovered, the skeleton is in excellent condition. It really is fantastic. But the fact that Argentinosaurus, Patagotitan, and Protosaurus are so incredibly close in size, we're talking a centimetre here and there, means we've potentially discovered the feasible maximum size for terrestrial creatures on Earth. I would personally be very surprised if another creature turns up and it's demonstrably bigger than either of these. It seems having 3 different species all coming to a close at about the same size would suggest this is as big as things could feasibly get, you know? That is what it suggests. Though, saying all that, I'm sure that won't stop people looking. It's easy to get caught up in media hype, but looking through all these articles on the Patagotitan, I didn't really see anything that solid about their potential size, and eventually it became more like a regurgitation of the shreds of information that the media has received over the years. This creature was first described in the media in 2014, and again it was hailed as a big dinosaur, but there was people even back then looking at the limited stats we had and saying this doesn't really prove it was bigger than Argentinosaurus. It's worth, with any news story, looking for alternate sources, looking at the actual numbers involved and then coming to your own conclusions, including with this video. This is my opinion at the end of the day. Okay, we're using numbers and I'm going through lots of other people's opinions as I made this video, but at the end of the day, this is my words. You could feasibly, if you wanted, have Patagotitan down as the biggest dinosaur ever. And people wouldn't really feasibly be able to say you're incorrect. But you could do the same for Argentinosaurus, you could do the same for Protosaurus, you could do the same for a few dinosaurs as it happens. The exciting aspects, the truly exciting aspects of this dinosaur and this discovery have been largely glossed over in favour of its size, but it is yet another thrilling addition to the history of dinosaurs. Thank you so much for joining me, ladies and gentlemen. As always, if you have any comments or suggestions, I'd love to hear them, and don't hesitate to let me know on Twitter if there's anything you would like to see covered in the future. It is, again, worth stressing so much that I am coming at this completely as a layman. I am just trying, like everyone else, to process and break down what are fairly dry and complicated statistics and articles to present them to you guys in a way that hopefully makes sense. That is actually what I'm truly passionate about, is bringing paleontology to a wider audience, essentially. And hopefully you guys are enjoying these videos. You seem to be, but hitting a like, hitting a comment, all that kind of jazz, and subscribing if you're new to the channel is the best way of telling me that, and I really do appreciate it. I will go read all the comments after this as well and say hello to you lovely folks and my lovely dinosaur loving community. Thank you so much for joining me. Cheers, much love, and as always, bye-bye.